Welcome back, my name is Carey, and today I've got a big important update about Boxable. For those following along with Boxable, you probably noticed that they're just waiting around for modular certification for the States, not doing much of anything until they have it in hand. No. Since my last update, Boxable has added another factory, Factory 3, which takes their total production space north of 400,000 square feet with no signs of slowing down. Here's the thing, prefab home builders add new factories all the time. It's always exciting, but I've never seen it done quite like this before. This is their third factory. Keep in mind they only opened their first factory in 2021, so it appears things are escalating faster than my body temp when recording a video during the summer. It's fast. It's really fast. In fact, they're still talking about the massive Boxable campus that they're planning to be around 1 million square feet. So if you think this is going to be their last factory, I don't know. I think they're just getting warmed up. What I'm going to do is tell you the latest from Boxable, let you know how it affects operations and what it means for those on the wait list. I've talked about Boxable many times on the channel, but it's been a minute since I've done an update with the latest out of Las Vegas. For anyone who hasn't heard of Boxable, they're a Nevada-based company that introduced a home product that ships 8.5 feet wide and unfolds at site to 19.5 feet wide by 19.5 feet long, a perfect square. Boxable's website says they're on a mission to revolutionize the standard of housing construction and affordability with an innovative technology-based solution to mass-produce homes through advanced manufacturing. Their words, not mine, but this is a new mission statement. I'm not sure when it was changed, but I feel like it's evolving as the company continues to grow. The first product released by Boxable was their Casita, a 375 square foot studio that was designed to be an ADU. I think the combination of innovation, marketing, and price led to the Casita getting a lot of attention on social media, and people started putting their name on a wait list to get one. From what I understand, almost immediately people started reserving the units for more than the original ADU concept, and just like that, the infamous waitlist was born, and now it seems like half the people on earth are on it. The way the Casita is laid out, you walk in the front door, the bed is to the left, bathroom to the right, and then at the back of the home they've got the living room and kitchen. It's a great layout for 1 or 2 people, but whenever I talked about it, I would get comments to the tune of, what about something for a family? Which is fair. What people might not realize is Boxable was never planning to be a tiny home company. They released the Casita first. Sure, but it's only one piece of what they're planning to be an entire building system that will allow for different configurations and sizes. Like Subway. I like to run my turkey ham program, but you can customize from their system and get whatever you want. Maybe it's a meatball sub. I've been following along with Boxable's progress for 3 years now, I think, and have stopped by to see them in Vegas twice. Once to see Factory 1, and a second time while I was at IBS to see the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom model they had on display. The 3-bedroom model had a layout that would definitely work for a family with a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom on the ground floor, and the main bedroom upstairs with an ensuite and access to a rooftop deck. It was a cool design, and I think it was Boxable's way of saying, circle up. We're more than a Casita home company. Okay, thanks. At that time, they hadn't even finished moving into Factory 2 and were only hinting at possible locations for Factory 3, and here we are 6 months later and they have yet another factory. 1 factory per year is a ridiculous pace, and you better believe I'll be watching to see if they can maintain it. Or maybe they'll increase it. When I was at the International Builders Show, the co-founder mentioned they were considering a couple different locations for the 3rd factory, one of which was Las Vegas, and at the time I thought if it was going to be in Vegas, maybe it would be close to Factory 2. I really didn't think it would be closer to Factory 1 than 2, but it turns out 3 shares a parking lot with 1, and now they also have the space between the 2 buildings to use for whatever they see fit. Whenever I post a video about Boxable, I always get 5 to 10 comments from people who say they want to see someone actually living in a Casita, to know that they're actually being delivered to people who are on the wait list. But I don't think that's going to happen until they get their modular certification. Think about this. It took 6 weeks to get my driver's license sent out, and I was only renewing it. So I'm not going to hold my breath for a government agency to certify a brand new type of home. Unfortunately, it's completely out of Boxable's control. I've heard they're hoping they'll have it for all states by the 4th quarter of this year, but again, only time will tell. I know I can't be the only person thinking it, so I'm going to say it. It seems to me that fitting out a 3rd factory before receiving modular certification for all states is putting the cart before the horse. In fact, one could argue that the cart is so far ahead of their horse that they can barely see it. Either they're very confident in the timeline it'll be received, or they know they can adapt to any changes needed if there are any, and simply want to be able to hit the ground running the exact second they get it. They could have waited around with 1 factory until they got it, but at the current pace they're going, going, they would have been 2 years behind whatever date they end up getting the certification they're waiting for. It's easy for me to sit here and speculate what they're doing and why, kind of like a glorified keyboard warrior, because I'm not building any factories and have no skin in the game. But I will mention that so far they've done what they said they're going to do. Last time I talked to them, they were looking for a third factory. They now have a third factory. I still have 0. Here's the thing, they've got a list with over 100,000 phone numbers on it from people who want to buy one of their Boxable Casitas. I think they want to lock in those builds as soon as they can so they can start chipping away at the list. Clearly they have a lot of people who want to buy one of their Casitas now, but that doesn't mean another company couldn't come out with something better at any point. So they aren't waiting around for the next big thing. I saw in a recent video that they're currently building, I think it was a couple homes per day, but they're preparing to beef those numbers up with the added space of a third factory that will allow them to build more homes. Simple as that. So far, every time they've added a factory, the build process has changed, and I expect that to happen again. So let's see what adjustments have been announced and how it'll affect how they're currently building. The first time I stopped by Las Vegas was May 2022, and at that point they had everything under one roof in Factory 1. There was one assembly line taking up about half the factory space. Floor starts at one end, and by the time it's at the other end, they've built a full casita that's ready to fold up and head out the back door. While I was there, the factory was referred to as an R&D facility many times. Most of the build process was manual, and looking back, them referring to it as such makes a lot more sense. When the first factory was announced, I assumed they would be building casitas for customers on the wait list, but it seems like they might have been dialing in the process and ironing out the kinks for future growth. Before moving into the first factory in Vegas, they had built at least one casita I know about, probably more, but they weren't building out of a production line style of factory. They hired consultants to assist in the setup and layout of the factory, but until you get in there and start building, you don't know what you don't know. When I was back earlier this year, they had just started moving into the second factory, and at that time I thought it was going to be the new home of their panels, but it looks as though things are shifting again. Typically when a company is building homes in a factory setting, everything would be under one roof. But guess what? Boxable doesn't care about typical. They aren't the only company that's growing in this industry, but I can't think of one that's growing as fast in North America from the startup phase. From what I've seen, a company will either outgrow a space and move to a bigger space, or add a second fully self-contained space in another location. Boxable now has a cluster of spaces in one area, and I wasn't sure how they're all going to play into each other, so I messaged the co-founder to try and get a better idea of what they've got going on and how it's going to work. As of right now, how they're going to be setting up what I will be referring to as the Boxable Triangle is Factory 1, assembly line and panel production, Factory 2, CNC/parts manufacture, and Factory 3, warehousing and sub-assemblies. They also recently announced the implementation of more automation that they've been talking about and showing renderings of for a while now. An Instagram post with a caption that states "Factory Updates" shows what I'm told is the paint system at the end of the lamination line, and apparently raw materials will go in one side and painted panels will come out the other. Apparently it'll spit out one every 3 minutes with very little labor, which is another step towards their goal of one house per minute. As it stands now, that'll be the setup of the 3 factories, but I've also been told it'll be reorganized at the end of this year, so we could be looking at an entirely different setup. So what does it mean for the people who are waiting for a home? When they get the certification they're waiting for, they'll be able to build more homes faster. Boxable just added a 3rd factory and are one step closer to mass producing homes through advanced manufacturing. As always, it's been fascinating to watch this company make adjustments as they iron things out on the fly and continue to grow. For the time being, the 3rd factory will be used for warehousing and sub-assemblies, with a complete revamp coming at the end of this year. I really enjoy watching what they're up to down in Vegas, so as always, I'll be following along with what they're up to and posting updates right here on my YouTube channel. That's all I've got for today. If you like manufactured home videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel because I've got new ones coming out every single week. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.